MVP spits directly in the face of Brock Lesnar. Bobby Lashley refuses to do the Muscle Man dance. Asuka World Domination Tour continues, and a Cody cutter heard round the world. And new tag team champions for the females, Becky Lynch and Lita. Trish Stratus returns to make sure it happens, and a seismic shift in the female division occurs. The tides have changed, and BC's gonna talk all about it. It's time to wake up, get up, and get amplified. Smash that up on the way in, and let's rock this bitch to the ground. Ah, wow. What a turn of events last night, Monday Night Raw, February 27th, 2023. That main event, Lita and Becky Lynch winning tag team gold. Trish Stratus returning to WWE to make sure that it happens. This was the seismic shift that division desperately needed. BC has said time and time again, and I have been justified in my words time and time again, that division is non-existent. The champions, absolutely irrelevant. And that's sad to say because Sasha Banks and Bayley really wanted to make something special in that division. Magic. Sasha and Naomi tried to make that magic. But if the company doesn't care, if they're not putting in the work and they're not showing the effort, you're done before you even begin. And that's what has happened to that division time and time again. And it's sad to say. And even with one of the best female wrestlers in the world, Io Shirai, and somebody that's such a good worker, such a good wrestler like Dakota Kai, throwing titles on them does not make a division. Which is why so many still feel like the division was non-existent, the champions are irrelevant. But last night something happened. I call it a seismic shift. It's one of those things where heads turn whether they like to or not. Everybody takes notice of that division because Becky Lynch and Lita just won the championships. And you have a formidable badass team that's on the horizon like Shayna Baszler and Ronda Rousey, who hopefully together will finally get proper booking. Because individually, we all know they did not. And they were butchered and botched beyond what many thought, even BC, beyond any repair. But throwing them together, maybe they find themselves and maybe booking finally remembers who they're dealing with. It's Baszler and it's Rousey. They're badass. Just let them fucking rock. Sometimes you just have to let the chefs cook. When they show up, let the chefs run the kitchen. Baszler and Rousey. It's going to be interesting to see, but you have Lita and Becky champions. You have an actual formidable team that could easily take it off of them any day of the week, twice on Sunday, if they choose to. That's how badass Rousey and Baszler actually are. If they're booked that way, again, another story. My point is you actually have some ingredients to the recipe of a good division. Right? It's the start. Lita and Becky are your champions. Yeah, that's going to make people talk, as we all are here the next morning. Very early, and the wrestling world is still buzzing about those championships, buzzing about that division. That has not happened, not even with Sasha and Bayley, and that is unfortunate because they really did try to make it work. But now everybody is talking about it. Everybody's talking, wait a second, Shayna and Ronda, man, they're starting to get some momentum, some steam. They're going to be going after those titles. Could you imagine? Who's to say Damage Control is even finished yet? They're going to double down in their efforts. Maybe we can finally get proper booking for Damage Control, because again, even with titles, they're irrelevant. The division was non-existent. Nobody cared about it. Now we have questions. This may not be one of the biggest storylines for you guys. I get it. It's not one of the biggest moments or things to happen in pro wrestling in the last 10 years or ever. I get it. But if you don't see that this is a seismic shift for a division that was literally desperately needing a pulse, then I don't know what you're watching, because that was a seismic shift. It's sink or swim for that division. A lot of people say, scrap the division. It's over. It's never going to work. BC is in the minority. I say bullshit. Don't quit. You have a lot of female talent that cannot get time. We all know that. That's why they need to throw a Chelsea Green with a Carmella, or a fucking poison pixie Candice LeRae with Nikki Cross. Natty is either with a fucking Tamina or she's with a Raquel. Who knows? Raquel and Elias. They're throwing people together. There's so many. What if you actually did it in a reputable way? What if you actually created the teams and put some care and effort behind it? Because solely, all of them are not going to find time. You have talent like Xia Li that can't even buy TV time on Friday nights, and that's a 2-hour show. And you can go down the line of how many talents cannot get TV time. A tag division is desperately needed for the ladies more than anything, and you can do it correctly. So I'm against scrapping the whole thing. A division for tag teams with the ladies can absolutely work. You just have to give a shit. What we saw last night was hopefully the beginning of that, because that was extra special. Whether you like it or not, eye of the beholder. But to say that that's not a seismic shift for a division that desperately needed a pulse, brah, that was massive. We're going to go over all of it coming up. And before I start off, two things. I got to get a big swig of coffee, because we're going to start right from the jump. Hour 1, Jimmy Uso and Solo Sikoa. And before I get that, reminder, smash that up. Absolutely helps out the algorithm, because we all know the tube is not going to help the channel out. I guess we're too controversial for the tube. We're too amplified for the platform, so they don't like to push the channel. But you guys can help out big time by smashing that up and make sure that the amplified man remains smashing out content many times a week. So I appreciate all you guys, man. My red team go and my gold unit. Make sure you activate those gold cards in this video, because we are going to rock out with this review. Let me get a big swig. And then we're going to go over the entire 3 hours of Raw. All right, so show starts with Jimmy Uso, Solo Sikoa of the Bloodline. They're taking on the Street Profits. Now, this legit took 16 minutes just to get this match started. No lie, guys. So first you had 3 minutes of a video package of what happened with Sami Zayn and the Bloodline from SmackDown. Then we had a 9-minute back and forth with Street Profits and Jimmy Uso, because Solo doesn't talk. And then we went right to a 3-minute commercial break. You can't make it up. 3-minute video package, 9-minute back and forth between Jimmy Uso and Street Profits, and then a commercial break. Then we come back from commercial at the beginning of Q2, segment 2, quarter 2, and that's when this match started. You cannot make it up, man. This was not a good start to Raw for Q1, seg 1. And then we saw 4 minutes of the match, and then we went right back to another 3-minute commercial break. I can't bullshit you, man. This was such an odd way. For a show that was actually very newsworthy and a lot to go over and a lot of things I thoroughly enjoyed, the beginning of Raw was not one of those things. This was absolutely just a... WWE has been doing pretty good in starting their shows off with a little bit of a buzz, garner a little bit of interest. Simplistic, yes, they haven't been going over the top or doing something uber creative every week, but simplistic and at least something to get you interested to get a little bit of the blood pulsing just a little bit, because you're going to be there for 3 hours for the show. You wanted to start off with something special. This just wasn't it. Again, the match doesn't even start until Q2. The best part of the first half hour of Raw was Kevin Patrick repeatedly reminding us that we are just 32 days away from WrestleMania 39. Come on, bro. We're 32, guys. 32. I feel like a bunch of one of those old cartoons. With the little fucking bird. Remember the little bird? 33 days. Anyway, it's hilarious. But come on, man. It's funny. But Corey Graves always cracks up at that shit. And I think the start of Raw was so... It just didn't land for BC. So when I heard Kevin Patrick just keep saying that, it popped BC, and I know it most likely popped the boys in the back. We're 33 days away from WrestleMania. Anyway, I think that was the best part of the first half an hour. Solo delivers the Samoan spike to Dawkins for the W. So obviously the Bloodline has to win here. So my question, unit, is the Street Profits pretty much done now? Can we all agree that there's nothing left? Montez needs to go on his own, and then it's time to see if Dawkins is going to sink or swim. I mean, it's time. You can't be tethered down for longer than you should be. You can't be anchored when you're supposed to be swimming to shore, and you have this anchor just trying to drag you down. And not saying that Dawkins is trying to, and that's not shade to Dawkins, but Montez's star is ready to shine. We all saw that. The Elimination Chamber was a cherry on top for anybody that didn't believe that. And it's clear that this company doesn't know what to do with the Profits, or they just don't want to. Either one is not good for them. So they're just kind of lingering in a tag team division, which, just like I say about the women, is basically non-existent as well. Usos just keep that thing afloat. But the New Day is beyond stale. I think most of us can agree that. They've been stale for years. Viking Raiders, it doesn't matter which Inception comes back. It doesn't matter how many months they go away and then come back slightly repackaged. Doesn't matter what you call them. Viking Experience, War Machine, Viking Raiders, War Raiders, Buccaneer Raiders, Packer Raiders, it doesn't matter. They just don't know what to do with these teams, or they just don't care. And Street Profits, it's at that time where you have to make a decision. Do we go through the rest of 2023 with the Street Profits just lingering and Montez's star begins to dim? Or do we let that star shine brighter than ever and Dawkins has to sink or swim? We hope he swims and finds his way to shore. If he sinks, hopefully a rescue team can find him, and he might have to be wished future endeavors, but best wishes. I don't know. But I just feel like Street Profits, man, they're getting into that territory of when they come through the curtain, you roll your eyes. And that's sad. Montez has a lot of fucking talent. Post-match, after Solo wins with that Samoan spike, Jimmy and Solo try to put an extra beating on the Profits, but Kevin Owens hits the ring and drops them both, and then hightails it, right? Little fucking warning shots over to Roman Reigns saying, we're not done. And he shows up in the black hoodie, which is the same thing that Sami Zayn has been doing. So you see, these are seeds planted for the big tag team title match. Jimmy and Jay or Jimmy and Solo versus Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens WrestleMania for the tag championships. You're kind of seeing Owens doing the same thing Sami Zayn's been doing, showing up through the crowd, black hoodie. You see that there's a little story within the story. And it looks like that's what they're going to do with Sami and Owens. And that makes sense because there's nothing else you could do. Their whole goal right now, their mission, their storyline is take down Bloodline. Well, Roman and Cody are already tied up with their thing. And now you have the rest of the Bloodline. Well, that's where Sami and Owens comes in. So I understand some people don't want to see this tag team match, especially for the titles. They don't know why Sami and Owens are going for it. But at the end of the day, it does make proper sense. So that's how we ended Q2. So Q1 and Q2, the first half an hour of WWE Raw was just Profits, Solo Sikoa, Jimmy Uso. Owens comes in real quick, drops him, runs away, and then we cut to a video package. They didn't even let it breathe for Kevin Owens. The whole first 2 segments was to kind of plant the seeds for the tag title match at Mania. And the big selling point at the end was Owens coming in, and they just fucking had it done in like 10 seconds. Okay, maybe not that. 30 seconds? Even after the replay? It was odd. I would have let that breathe a little bit more, sell it a little more, plant those seeds firmly so when they grow, they prosper. These seeds were kind of planted poorly. Now I'm hoping that whatever stems out of the ground, whatever grows, it grows properly. Because, man, did that go fast once Kevin Owens hit the ring. Q3. So we started this into Q3, into Q4, actually. VIP Lounge with guest Brock Lesnar. Lesnar doesn't wait, and he's actually already in the ring before the host, MVP. How rude. So MVP finally comes out, and he's looking at Lesnar like, fucking balls on this dude. What the shit? When I invited you, this is not what I intended. So fucking Brock Lesnar's sitting in his chair. He's he's got his feet kicked up. So he gets up. He's like, pardon me, I'm a little early, but join me if you wish. Almost like it's his fucking crib, and MVP just showed up. The role reversal was actually kind of funny here. Lesnar tells MVP to sell him and all of us on this fight that he wants for WrestleMania. Hype this fight up, and I quote, is what Lesnar said. He's just begging MVP to sell all of us on this fight. Hype up this fight. He says, just sell me on this. Sell me. And it was just funny. It was a funny twist because we've all been saying this all week for this Mania match, right? We've all been saying, wait a second, Brock Omos? This is not what I don't think most of us are asking for. And we've been saying they better sell us on this. They better sell this properly for all of us. And it's just funny how they utilize that into this segment where Brock is like, you got to sell all of us before I accept. And MVP did a weak job. MVP is a good pitch man. But he just went through the points, right? Omos, you never faced a monster like Omos. You never had anybody kick out of this and that. You never had to face a real beast or whatever. I don't even know. He's just doing the standard. This is a giant, so it's an obstacle you never faced. It wasn't anything that you're going to remember. In fact, again, I already forgot word for word. I'm paraphrasing the entire fucking thing because it was one of those just standard promos. And at the end of it, Brock's like, okay, I'm sold. I accept. And I'm like, well, I'm glad you are because most of us are still not sold on this shit. But Lesnar accepts. And he says he needs to drink on it, though, to make it official. But he says he doesn't want to drink the bougie champagne and the bougie wine that's in the ring. He wants to drink his farm-grown liquor, and he takes out a flask from inside his little jean vest. and MVP is like, if you don't mind, I'll stick to the bougie wine, the bougie champagne. And he's like, you're not going to make me drink alone, are you? And MVP's like, all right, I'll drink your shit. What's this called? And Brock's like, we call it White Lightning. MVP takes a massive sip and spits it straight, square that shit up right into the face of Brock Lesnar. I mean, this shit, in replay, you just see this thing spritz all around, and then he's like drooling afterwards. It was pretty fucking gross, dude. First of all, I'm thinking MVP's taking a sip, the same sip that fucking Brock drank. That's a little iffy. And then he just gets all of this spit right in his face. I'm like, dude, you should just practice what Bray Wyatt preaches and just run, because this beast is going to fucking squash you. Literally just fucking start ripping body parts apart. But MVP just tries to clean his face off. Brock just swipes his hand away. Don't touch me. Takes his handkerchief, blows his nose in it, puts it back in MVP's little fucking suit jacket, and proceeds to do a thunderous F5 onto MVP in the VIP lounge. Just fucking rocks MVP's world. And then he just kind of smiles and Brock's music hits, and I'm like, all right, that was an entertaining segment. I love the best part was when he spits into Brock's face, all the liquor, the white lightning. The crowd just starts chanting, "You fucked up, you fucked up." Of course, USA Network. Nerdy Nelson is in the USA booth, like pressing the fucking mute button nonstop, even though it wasn't that loud of the word fuck. But Nerdy Nelson is like, "I got this, boss." Me, muting out the fucks. But I love how everybody was like, "You fucked up. You fight." MVP's looking like shit. I really did. That was the best part. This was, again, it was entertaining. The problem is, and I know BC's not alone on this, I'm just not sold on the match. I'm glad Brock was for this segment, but BC and so many of you guys I know are just not sold on this match. This match does nothing for me. This is Brock Lesnar. This is a guy who ended the Undertaker's streak, his WrestleMania streak, 9 years ago at WrestleMania 30. And here we are in 2023, and he's just taking on Omos. And what do? Brock obviously has to just squash the dude. Omos isn't going to give you a 10-minute match, and nor should he with Brock Lesnar. So it's a squash of Omos, or Omos defeats Brock. And are you telling me the guy that ended the WrestleMania streak of The Undertaker 9 years ago at WrestleMania 30 is just going to lose to Omos? It just doesn't feel right, seem right, doesn't make sense. I'm hoping that they make it make sense. I really am. I truly am. There's still four Raws? Something like that. What do we got? 1, 2, 3. But roughly 4 full weeks of Monday Night Raws. I'm hoping that they get BC on board with this. I really am, because I actually like Brock. I'm a Brock fan, believe it or not. I know that's an unpopular comment, but I like Brock. And I'm not a fan of smiling farmer hat Brock. I like the old beast, serious, ready to fucking just tear the house down Brock. And I'm not sold on this. So there's a lot of booking botches with Brock Lesnar for BC that I'm seeing. And I really hope for me, and I know for so many of you, that gets corrected. I really need to feel but Bobby's another story with Bray. I'll get to that in a few minutes. I really need to feel like Omos and Brock Lesnar is WrestleMania worthy. Bro, that's barely Saudi Arabia's crown jewel worthy. You could say that's a fucking match on Monday Night Raw, and maybe I'll fucking be like, all right, WrestleMania. And by the way, I can't believe 9 years ago was The Undertaker, Brock Lesnar, WrestleMania 30. Wow, does time fly. We're all fucking aging, guys. That's why The Undertaker was like, yeah, you guys don't realize how fast these years go by. I had no choice but to retire. I was literally going to be the dead man. That's what Undertaker's thinking. Mark Calloway, bro. Congratulations to him, too. His one-man shows are selling out like in fucking minutes. It's awesome to see. A lot of people want to show up and hear The Undertaker talk, man. Mark Calloway. But anyway, entertaining segment I felt with MVP and Brock for the most part. What does it lead to? Nothing I give a shit about, and I'm hoping that changes. Hour number 1 ends with Kevin Patrick reminding us that we are just 32 days away from WrestleMania. That's right, 30. It's very 30. 32 days. And that ends hour number 1. Swig of coffee, we'll start up hour number 2, man. And boy, was this fucking massive. Cody Rhodes delivering the Cody Cutter heard round the world. Salute unit again, man. Much love and respect to all you guys, man. Red team rocking out. Gold team next level. You guys are the best, man. Wrestling has more than one royal family. Hour 2 starts with Cody Rhodes versus Chad Gable. Match was only roughly 10 minutes, but I could have watched an Iron Man match with those two. Honestly, if they win another 100 minutes, I would have been more than okay with it and captivated, most likely edge of my seat. But this one was only 10 minutes. That's what happens when it's on TV. It's interesting, right? Because yesterday, right before Raw, I put up a live stream. It was only on like 24 minutes of notice. And it was right before Monday Night Raw, a couple hours before. So most of you guys didn't even know that I was live before Raw. But to the few thousand of you guys that did catch that, either the hundreds live or the few thousand that caught it afterwards, you guys know that we spent several minutes talking about Chad Gable and how it's just kind of, it's sad, it's a shame, it's damn near criminal that Chad Gable only has 3 victories in his last 50 matches. Pay-per-view, television, live events, it doesn't matter. His last 50 matches, he's only won 3, and that dates back to August of 2022. Only 3 wins for one of easily the best wrestlers in the world. And I'm not even talking just technical skill or sequence, move for move, work rate. I'm talking like on the microphone. Can he carry a storyline? I'm checking off every box, and I say Chad Gable is actually one of the best wrestlers in the world. I would absolutely say that. He would easily be on my top 25, 30 wrestlers in the world. Easily. Probably even higher on that list, even. Better on that list. But top of my don't piece, easily 25, 30. No doubt Chad Gable's on that list. I most likely have him 20. Dare I say 15? I don't know. I'd have to think a little bit more. But most likely. Top 10? I don't know. I would have to really think about my list. But the point is, he's top 25 for sure in the world. And the way that he's booked in WWE, how they see him in WWE, unfortunately, it's just a little bit more comedic jobber status. He's a comedic jobber, right? He's just there to, put on an entertainment segment, but you're not really going to get much out of it. It's that type of deal with Chad Gable. And I think that that's one of those things that we kind of have to get away from sooner rather than later, because if you keep doing this, he's going to be in a rut that it's going to be hard to dig out of it, because for so long, that's what he's viewed as. It's like Dolph Ziggler. We know that Dolph Ziggler for years and years has been one of the best wrestlers in the world, but now he's pretty much securely placed into the jobber status role. You know that when Dolph is there, he's going to give you an entertainment segment, but he's more than likely, like a Clorox wipe, 99.99%, he's going to lose the match. You pretty much know that, right? I mean, that's what Dolph is there for. Sadly, Chad Gable is becoming that guy. When you know he comes out, you know he's going to lose. So it was just one of those, it was one of those like double-headed beasts, right? A catch-22 double-edged sword type deal where it's Cody versus Chad Gable. This is going to be fucking cool. This is going to be so good. And on the other hand, you're thinking, fuck, Chad Gable has to lose, because there's no way Cody can lose this. So, man, it was one of those things where you know you're going to see something special, but you also know that it's going to suck because Gable has to lose. That's all. That's what BC was thinking going into this. Is the match itself so good? Obviously, as I just said, there's no way. I'm on both worst days. I don't think they could put together a bad match together. The finish, chef's kiss. An epic corner springboard Cody cutter, followed by a crossroads. 1, 2, 3. Cody wins this match. Gable looking up at the lights. Guys, when I say this was an epic corner springboard Cody cutter, I mean, he just leaped right onto the top rope of the corner, right onto the turnbuckle, fucking springs right into the middle of the ropes, springs off of it beautifully, gets so much height that literally, I believe Montez was most likely anyway, backstage, thinking, damn, Wesley Snipes said white men can't jump? He was wrong. Cody, I know he's got the help of the ropes, springboard, but still, I mean, the height that Cody got, you can only pull this off masterfully if you have somebody so fucking epically good about to receive that move. And luckily, thankfully, gratefully, Cody had Chad Gable, because Chad Gable was perfect in this. Cody, high up in the air, gets himself positioned for the cutter, and you watch the replay in slow-mo, and you see Chad Gable position himself beautifully. He molds his arms beautifully to where he's going to take that cutter simultaneously in the most perfect of ways. Damn near flawless, if not. Chad Gable deserves just as much credit as Cody Rhodes for one of the best moves I have seen in recent memory, because that's what that was. That'll be one of those moves that stands the test of time in all of the highlight reels for Cody going forward. Maybe even Gable, even though he's the one taking the move. But that'll be in the highlight reels. It reminds me back to WrestleMania several years ago. I think it was San Francisco area. I think it was I think it was San Francisco. Maybe that was WrestleMania. Man, I think that was the one Ronda Rousey and The Rock were in the middle of the ring together with Triple H and Stephanie McMahon. And I think it was the first match of WrestleMania. It was Seth Rollins versus Randy Orton. Seth went to deliver the stomp. And Randy Orton, once the foot of Rollins hit the back of Orton springs up. And Rollins just catapults about 76 feet in the air, slight exaggeration, catapults in the air and lands into a massive, immaculate RKO out of nowhere. It was, to this day, the best RKO I've ever seen. And that was around the time where he was doing a lot of cool RKOs, and RKO out of nowhere really started to come into its own. But that one, man, the stomp was just perfectly placed, and right when the contact hit, Randy shoots up, Rollins catapults so fucking high, and he lands into an RKO. Bro, I can't even fucking tell you. To this day, I just think back to that move and how just special it was, how perfect it was pulled off. This Cody cutter, it's just going to be remembered, at least for BC, like that. It was just so special, and it always helps. In fact, it's everything. Not just helps. It doesn't happen unless you have the perfect person opposing you and about to take that move, right? Rollins for Orton and vice versa. In this case, Gable for Cody. And I'm sure the favor maybe in the future will be returned if Gable ever gets that momentum. I'm sure Cody, I'm not saying he's going to do the job, but Cody will absolutely take anything Gable's about to give, man, and do it perfectly. Because the way I saw Gable, man, that's not easy to do. Cody's going to fly, and it's up to that dude who's about to take the move to actually position himself and mold himself. And man, did Gable study him like it was a fucking algebra test in fucking senior year of high school. Watch the eyes of Gable, man, in slow motion as he molds his arms into the Cody cutter and takes that shit like a fucking champion. I just hope one day WWE books him like a fucking champion. What a fucking sequence. Right into the crossroads seconds later, and Gable is defeated. Man, Cody Rhodes has just given such a pulse to a show that for nearly 10 years was all but dead. A show that put people asleep, a show that people turned away from in droves by the thousands, sometimes tens of thousands, sometimes a couple 100,000 a week. Said no thank you. And Cody Rhodes, it's amazing how one dude can change. It's like a seismic shift is the word I'm using for this Raw in terms of the ladies' championship, tag team championship, and I'm going to use it here too. A seismic shift when the executive vice president, one of the founders of All Elite Wrestling, leaves the company, goes to WWE, and is about to become their champion, and has just sent fucking a pulse through a show that needed a lifeline. That was one of the biggest losses that Tony Khan will ever see. Whether AEW lasts 10 years or 100 years or beyond. Man, WWE, you can pretty much, that with the Bloodline storyline, that is when there was a little bit of the tide started to change. And there started to be interest again back in WWE. And Cody Rhodes is just that guy. He's the perfect face to conquer a tribal chief on the grandest stage of them all, hoist up that title, and have the moment that will be heard around the world. Fucking awesome. And Chad Gable, just as much fucking credit, man. Amazing work with these two in just 10 minutes. Post-match, Cody grabs the mic and says, "We are 33 days away from WrestleMania. First of all, Cody, you are wrong. At the moment, at that time of that promo, you were 33 days away, not 33. Tell him, Kevin Patrick. 33 days." Cody says we're 33 days away from Mania, and I have yet to stand in the ring with my opponent, Roman Reigns. So I hear Roman's going to be at SmackDown this Friday. So am I. Cody Rhodes with a massive announcement. Ratings-wise, interest-wise, SmackDown is the best show in all of wrestling. That's not my opinion or anybody else. Or it doesn't matter my opinion or anybody else's. Metrics, numbers, ratings, everything says that SmackDown is the best. You go, well, they're on Fox. I get it. But even if you take away the numbers, the buzz on social, if you put merchandise sales together on a roster, SmackDown would win out. Bray Wyatt and Roman Reigns alone. Just every metric, SmackDown is just blowing it out of the water. It doesn't matter if it's Monday Night Raw, Dynamite, Rampage, NXT, the local bingo hall down the block, MLW, CGW, whatever the fucking, any letters you want to put together. SmackDown's the best show right now for pro wrestling. If you think differently, that's totally fine, right? If you just don't like it, that's cool. But it doesn't, the fact is still it's the best show because that's the facts that we have. And now that you just got a huge fucking announcement that Cody and Roman are going face to face, bro, that's going to be a big SmackDown Friday. Speaking of that, man, wait till you hear the Monday Night Raw for next week in Boston, Massachusetts. Bro, what a show. We're going to talk about that in just a little bit. But what a start to hour two, man. Cody Rhodes, Chad Gable, just fucking collecting attention from the wrestling world. Like Sonic the Hedgehog collecting coins, man. I mean, it was such a beautiful thing. Q5. Backstage, the Judgment Day delivers a group promo for all of their Mania matches. Dominic cuts a promo on Ray. Rhea cuts a promo on Charlie Flair. Finn Balor on Edge. Poor Damian Priest is probably like, one of us seemingly doesn't belong here. Is what Damian Priest is thinking, the poor guy. I really hope that Damian doesn't end up just another participant in the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. As much as we love Andre the Giant, man, everybody in Judgment Day is getting some shine at Mania. I really hope Damian gets something, but there's a limited amount of spots. Even though it's a 2-night event, you might not get the 8 to 9 matches each night. You might get 6 to 7 matches, 7 to 8 maybe tops. So that one extra match off of each night is drastic. I mean, that's 4 participants taking off of Mania. If you have a tag match, that could be fucking anywhere from 6 to 8 participants. So that's huge. Every time you take a match off, Damian Priest might be one of those people that has to be in this Memorial Battle Royal, man. But as far as this backstage kind of collective promo with Judgment Day, a lot of people saying, well, that's the best 3-hour show. And that's how you use Judgment Day. I totally understand. I do wish it was more creative. There's not a lot you can do up front outright, right? Because you have, if you look at all these matches, a lot of it is SmackDown talent. And Rhea Ripley, she's going against Charlotte Flair. Okay, she's over on the blue brand. Dominic is going against Ray. He's over on the blue brand. Finn Balor's going against Edge. Edge has a limited schedule, and he was not issued or promoted or marketed for Detroit last night, so Edge wasn't even there. So there's not so much Balor could do, and Damian doesn't even have a match. So you know what I mean? They pretty much were like, all right, we're gonna save everything. We're gonna start up hot and heavy with Judgment Day and everything in this Friday and in Boston, because Dominic already said he's gonna be at SmackDown as well to confront Ray and expose him some more or some shit. So I expect then for Ray to finally have enough and really just fucking deck his son Dominic. But so that's going to heat up Friday, Dominic and Ray. I really think Rhea's going to be there to fucking this time. She's going to do a little more than just stare at Charlie. So those 2 things will kick off Friday, and I expect something huge for all of them in Boston next Monday. I have no problem with this, man. This was very women-focused last night, and the first half an hour dedicated to the Bloodline and Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn's pending match at Mania. So I have no problem with this, man. If this was to happen a lot, there's no real fun shit going on, and you have 3 Mania matches with one group, then BC would start to fucking, raise the red flag a little bit more. I had no problem with this. It was a heavily pre-taped segment because they were just nailing their lines, their facial expressions, the conviction in their voice and mannerisms. You could tell this was filmed many times, and but they nailed their lines. Hey, is what it is, man. I'm not going to totally dog that out. Byron Saxton then interviews Baron Corbin backstage. Saxton cuts Corbin off mid-sentence because he sees Kevin Owens leaving, heading to the parking lot. So Saxton wants to interview Kevin Owens and see what it was all about earlier this evening when he dropped the bloodline. And poor Corbin's like, no, not again. You're cutting me off again for him? Corbin's crying out, man. Come on, guys. Let me talk. Too funny, bro. And then Asuka takes on Carmella. This was a good 10-minute match. Mella was in control for a lot of this match, which exactly is what I said. I mean, even though you got to make Asuka look dominant, she's going for the championship at Mania. Man, Carmella just got back. She is a good wrestler, guys. She's gotten better and better. She improves by the week. She's been off for all that time. And she put together a pretty damn solid match with Asuka. She just doesn't get any respect. That's kind of sad. And I know there's a little disconnect or a lot of disconnect with the character in general. And WWE doesn't really give a lot of reason to care for maybe somebody like Carmella. But there's so much potential there. And she is actually good. If we're being honest, she can absolutely go out there just like she did. A 10-minute match with Asuka. And she can rock it, man. So, what I said in yesterday's stream, again, most of you guys don't even know I put up a stream. But I did, hours before Monday Night Raw, on 24 hours notice. But I said, you got to be careful because Mella still has to be booked properly, too. So, it's going to be interesting how they do that. And they decided with the old school theme of, well, have her have the upper hand for at least half the match. No harm, no foul. It's all for naught. Once Asuka starts tapping into her super blitz, it's the best way I can put it, because you guys know what I mean, man. There's just something that just snaps in Asuka mid-match, and that's why I was okay with Carmella controlling a lot of the match, because I knew at any moment she's going to Hulk up. You guys remember Hulk Hogan? He would get his ass whooped for a lot of the match, but then he'd finally have enough, and he'd start fucking shaking, and he'd give the you boom, boom, boom to the ropes, big boot, leg drop. I loved it. Asuka doesn't do that necessarily, but she does just snap and say, that's it, enough. And she just does a fury and a flurry of just Asukarisms. I mean, backhands. She gave a backhand to Carmella. Word around the campfire is that Detroit is still hearing the echoes of that backhand. Man, Gunther would be so proud. Asuka gave a backhand to Carmella. I mean, you heard just reverberate around fucking Detroit, around the arena. Grand Rapids, I believe they were in. You literally heard it just fucking go around the arena, this fucking backhand. Fucking so badass. And then she just starts delivering the fucking flurry of kicks and more backhands and chops, and there's nothing that you can do. There's no defense for that type of super blitz offense from Asuka. It's just one of a kind in the female division. There's nothing like it. And she tapped into that super blitz of offense. And Mella was just better off practicing what Bray Wyatt preaches. Run! She just ran away at that point. You would have saved fucking yourself the ass whooping. Because moments later, armbar, Mella's tapping out. Asuka wins. And may I also say, man, there was a sweet missed missile drop kick from Asuka into a Mella super kick sequence that I absolutely love. So Asuka goes up to the fucking turnbuckle top rope, dives off, cannonball, missile drop kick, back to the mat style, and Mella got out of the way, and Asuka just pancakes onto the mat. Asuka goes to get up, and Mella simultaneously nails her with a super kick. I just thought that sequence was so beautifully done, timed perfectly, and executed flawlessly. The finish again, Mella taps out to Asuka's armbar. Post-match, Asuka calls out Bianca Belair. It was clear they had nothing for these two guys. It was absolutely clear. You have nothing for Bianca and Asuka. So Asuka just calls out Bianca. And then Carmella just takes out Bianca and Asuka, I believe. They ran into each other after Carmella hit Bianca, I believe. I don't even know. But Carmella drops them. I blinked and Asuka and Bianca are down on the mat looking at each other like, fuck. And Mella's like fucking parading around like she won a match or did something special. I don't know. I guess you did. If you took out Bianca and Asuka, one, how you doing? I guess that is pretty special. But, man. I did say you got to do something with Carmella even though she's most likely losing, and she should. I don't know if that's the way I would go. The bigger issue I have is that they better find the story for these two. Obviously, the match is sitting in their lap. It's going to be special. It's Bianca Belair versus Asuka. I mean, match-wise, there ain't no way you could fuck it up. Let the chefs cook, right? Just let them fucking get into the kitchen and do their thing. But, you know, you still have 4 weeks before Mania. Let's add layers to this, man. Make it more special. Make it more meaningful. Make it more intriguing than just a good match. They don't have anything. I do like, right? Last week, it was simplistic, but I liked it. Asuka showed Belair that it's not the same best friend that you've had for months helping you against Damage Control. This is a different Asuka. You're now seeing the version of Kana, the personality of Kana come out, and I'm coming for your championship. And that's what that fucking, that ooze, that blue fucking liquid coming out of Asuka's mouth last week, and Belair like shocked, confused, like what the fuck? And I do like how Belair this week came out with authority, man. Extra confidence, like she wasn't fucking around with these games. She came out with a purpose, got right into the ring, pointed up at Mania. Said, I'm ready to rock. No matter what you do, you ain't gonna freak me out. I liked how last week Bianca was a little bit like taken back. This week she thought about it, she pondered it, and she's like, fuck that shit. I'm ready to rock. I believe in my abilities. I can beat you. I do like that. And that's what I mean. Offer up some more of that, man. To just drop them seconds after Belair gets out there by Carmella. Weird. And it just tells me that they just don't know. They love the match like most of us, right? Belair, Asuka. Now they're like, shit, WrestleMania can't come fast enough. I don't know how to fucking build this. You know, it's like they're treading too carefully on keeping Asuka kind of a face as well. Taking on Carmella this week. You know, kind of playing to the crowd because they know the crowd respects Asuka so much. But like just a few weeks ago, remember she was in the 6-woman tag and she was with the heels. Nikki Cross and who was it? Carmella, somebody else. And she was in the 6-woman tag leading into Elimination Chamber. And she was with the heels. She's going against Bianca at WrestleMania. She should be the heel. If people want to boo her or not be, or just cheer because they respect them, that's their prerogative. We'll see where the chips fall. But book her as the heel. Take Bianca Belair out. You know? Force people to want to see Belair actually defeat her at Mania, even though that shouldn't be happening. But you know what I mean? It doesn't have to be face versus face, man. You know, Kana is the murder clown. She's that evil figure. She is the one that is not going to let friendship or a smile from Bianca get in the way of her championship. I just hope that they book her properly. Do justice by the Kana character. So, good match though, man. Kana, Asuka, and Carmella. Candice LeRae, they went back-to-back female matches last night. Very female-focused. The main event was also with the ladies. Candice LeRae versus Piper Niven. LeRae pins Piper Niven via the awe-inspiring, ultra-devastating Fruit Roll-Up. So they took the smallest lady on the roster, right? I believe she's even smaller than Elias. They took the smallest lady on the roster, pixie dust, or fucking pixie poison pixie, fucking Candice LeRae, and they have her roll up the biggest woman on the roster. That makes sense. Piper Niven. You're asking somebody to dumb down their fucking level like a shit ton, right? Not skill-wise. Candice LeRae is good. But I'm saying dumb down like her believability meter, her reality meter. There's no way you're taking someone like Piper Niven and she's just going to get rolled up. One arm of little pixie dust is going to roll up, little pixie poison. One arm is going to fucking scoop up Piper Niven. This is what I mean. It's not even the fact that WWE does so many roll-ups, guys. So many. Right? Every fucking year, every month, every week, every show seems to have a fruit roll-up by WWE. It's not just the fact that they do the roll-ups. It's the fact that they do them in the most non-believable, unrealistic ways. You've seen Bobby Lashley rolled up, and then we're supposed to take Bobby Lashley seriously. We've seen fucking, we probably have seen Brock fucking rolled up a time or two. I'd have to go back to the archives on that. But we've seen fucking Braun Strowman, no joke, several times. Braun Strowman just rolled up. Right? Wasn't it just fucking Ricochet that rolled up Braun Strowman recently? I mean, they take the smallest dude and they'll have him roll up the biggest dude. It would never happen. It would never happen in a million years. And not only do they get them down, right? Rolling them up would never happen. That's not believable. But then the littlest person then just holds them down for the full 3 count. Not even a knockout move, not a finisher. They rolled them up, the biggest people on the roster, and those big people, whether it's a Braun Strowman, a Bob Lashley, or a fucking Doudrop Piper Niven, once they're down, they can't get up. They can't even get their shoulder just a centimeter off the mat, guys. You just got to get your... They're so small, you just fucking move your foot, and Candice LeRae is probably going to be in the rafters. If you fucking go to move one of your arms, Candice LeRae will be on the roof. If Braun Strowman tweaks his knee while he's being rolled up, Ricochet would wind up in orbit in the solar system. They think Ricochet's another planet. But once they're down, they're just like the kid from the Christmas Story, right? I can't get up. Guys. You know, the brother in the Christmas suit. The Christmas fucking onesie. The snowsuit. And his mother gives him the biggest fucking suit. He's the smallest little kid, the little brother, and he fucking falls in the snow and he can't get up. Guys, I can't get up. And nobody's helping him. That's basically what you're asking these individuals to do. Just lay there and be the kid from the Christmas Story, the brother from the Christmas Story. It's fucking bullshit, man. They're like a turtle flipped upside down. You ever see a turtle? You ever see a turtle flipped upside down on their shell? They can't fucking get up. Arms and fucking feet are moving. I don't know if they're doing the Macarena or they're just trying to fucking take a shit. I don't know what they're doing. They're certainly not trying to get up, because if they were, they would get up. Fuck. Anyway, guys, fruit roll up to Piper Niven. Guys, is that the best booking we can do for Piper Niven? Is that really the best booking we can do for Piper Niven? A roll up against fucking pixie dust? Pixie poison dust? What the fuck? It's great she got her name back. Great to have her serious face last night, not fucking dancing around, not fucking popping bubbles like fucking Emma. Remember Emma? That's basically what Doudrop was. So she's straight face last night. It looks like, okay, we got somebody serious, meaningful. This is going to be the Piper Niven we should have got from day one. Fruit roll up. In 2 fucking minutes. 90 seconds. And that ended hour number 2, by the way. So we started off so hot in hour 2 with Cody, Rhodes, and Gable. Judgment Day cut some good pre-tapes backstage. Kind of Asuka versus Carmella was good. Not a bad second hour. Man, the end of hour 2. Befuddling, guys. Swig of coffee. We're going to start hour number 3. Miz TV, Logan Paul, Seth Rollins. Another time to say salute, unit. Can't thank you guys enough, man. Sticking with BC. The entire review looks like we're going over an hour in this review. I kind of knew that was going to happen. It was a packed show. A lot to go over, man. So, not going to waste any more of your time. Let's go right into it. Hour 3. Miz TV starts hour 3. Miz announces he will be hosting WrestleMania 39. That's the big announcement. That's what fucking Maryse, the ultra beautiful Maryse, That's the envelope that she gave Miz last week, man. On their anniversary, you get to be the host for night 1 and night 2 of Mania. Seth Rollins comes to the ring. And by the way, I don't have no problem with that, man. It's better than who are you going to get? You're going to bring Snoop Dogg in? Are you going to bring in the little fucking Kid Rock lookalike who performed at Elimination Chamber, I think it was, right? What was his name? Uncle Hardy? Not Uncle Howdy. I don't know. He looks like Kid fucking... Who are you going to have host, man? Jake Paul? You know what I mean? Stupid. Miz has nothing for Mania. Keeps him out of a match. I'm sure they'll have some fucking corny segments, but whatever, man. I'm not gonna drag that. Seth Rollins comes to the ring, super kicks the Miz, takes his phone, calls Logan Paul to set up a face-to-face for next week in Boston, because Rollins wanted Miz to just call him because he's probably got him on speed dial because they were good buddies. So Miz takes out his phone. He's like, you want me to call him? No, I'm not going to do anything for you. Gets a super kick by Rollins. Now, they fucked up here. There was supposed to be the microphone to the phone when they do the actual call. Rollins forgot to get the microphone, and he puts the phone to Miz's face for the facial recognition thing to unlock the screen. And you hear over the loudspeaker, you hear, you like fucking it took the picture. Okay? So you hear the picture being taken, but wait, there was no microphone. So Rollins then gets the microphone, and then it's obviously a pre-tape. So you get Logan Paul on the screen, and a lot of people were like, well, wow, man, that's a risk, because what if it didn't work? What if it didn't go through? What if it was fuzzy? Like, that would be bad TV. It's a good thing they got Logan so cleanly on the screen, right? And the camera angle was so perfect. Guys, that was a pre-tape. Go back and check it out. They pre-taped the actual Logan Paul part. I don't even know if that was Rollins' hand, to be honest. Yes, that was his jacket. But that perfect camera angle that is getting Logan Paul on the phone, if you guys look at the fingers of Seth Rollins, when the camera is on Rollins while he has the phone, his index finger is separated from the rest of his fingers while he's holding the phone, right? So you have... I wish there was something I could show you here. I don't have a fucking anything here. But index finger separated from the rest of his fingers as he's holding the phone. Now you'll see when they cut to the angle where they're looking at Logan Paul and Rollins supposedly is holding the phone in the same shot, you see all the fingers are together every time. And then they cut back to the Rollins shot. His index finger is separated. Then they cut back to the Logan Paul shot and his fingers are together. Even when Rollins moves his hand a little bit, he readjusts a little bit, they cut right back to the same position. That phone never moved. The hand never moved for the Logan Paul. That was an obvious pre-tape before Raw went on the air live. And I think that's the smart way to do, because it's entertaining, it's creative, it's different, and you can't fucking botch it. I mean, this is live television, and you're going to hope that a FaceTime works. No, you can't do that. So, yeah, that was interesting to see. I knew there was a pre-tape somewhere, so I had to look at I had to really dissect the details, and it was so easy, guys. The second I started looking for anything, I saw the fingers. They were not the same when they went back and forth for the shot. So you could see that index finger, connected, not connected. Little interesting. Sorry to reveal the magic tricks, guys, but that's what we do on this channel. We talk about, we dissect it all. And a lot of people are just like, wow, I can't believe they actually trusted that type of a segment live. Well, that's why they did it, guys. It was pre-taped. But all in all, it was not bad, to be honest. I didn't mind this. Logan Paul is going to be there in Boston on Monday. That's when we really heat this up. He was not there last night. It was a good little way to still put him into this storyline, see him, not just pop up on the Tron. It was a little creative. Backstage, Austin Theory tells Kathy Kelly that he'll be meeting John Cena next week on Raw in Boston to show him the utmost respect that he deserves. And he only wishes that Cena gives him the same next week in Boston. So, guys, Boston is looking stacked next week. For the ladies, yes, you got Bianca Belair and Carmella. I hope that Bianca and kind of Asuka really heats up in Boston. You're going to have Solo Sikoa versus Kevin Owens, Johnny Gargano versus Finn Balor, John Cena going face-to-face with Austin Theory to set up their Mania match. Logan Paul is going to finally go face-to-face with Seth Rollins, and I really think that's going to be the sleeper match of Mania. It's going to make heads turn. It's going to make people talk. It's going to tear the place down. Rollins and Paul, that's going to be in Boston next week to set that up into high gear. There's a lot, man. We're going to get the fallout with Lita and Becky Lynch and Trish Stratus. Is she going to be in Boston? What are we going to do? Trish versus Bayley, we believe, is going to be one-on-one. While Lita and Becky go against Rousey and Baszler. Again, we're going to get to that in the main event of Hour 3. But Boston is looking jacked, stacked, and ready to rock. They're going to be amplified in New England. Bobby Lashley taps out Elias next via the Hurt Lock in about 90 seconds. The best part of this was the cutscene backstage to Rick Boogs booging out. He's taking notes again this week. Guys, this popped BC last week. I legit LOL'd when last week Elias said, Rick Boogs, I hope you're backstage and I hope you're taking notes because this is how it's done. And they cut to Boogs last week and he's actually, guys, he's taking notes. It was so funny. This week, he keeps looking back. Elias is like, I hope he's still taking notes. Boogs is literally still has a notepad. He's who knows what Boogs is on. He's booging out, and he's taking notes. And he loses. Elias loses in 90 seconds to Lashley. It's almost like, what? I hope he stopped taking notes by now, because that's not how you do it. Legit LOL 2 weeks in a row now with Rick Boogs and Elias. Bobby Lashley grabs the mic afterwards, and he says, man, we all were thinking, like, how is he going to respond to the Firefly Funhouse? How are you going to make us give a fuck about this match? And he, what's he do? He grabs the mic. He says, I don't have time for games, so Bray Wyatt, keep my name out your mouth. And I thought this was the most conviction that Lashley has ever had in a promo. I mean, just down to business. I ain't got time for that Bray Wyatt shit. I like that. That's good. He goes up, and I'm like, oh, something had, I mean, put Bray on the Tron or something, because that was nicely done. That's the way that a real Bobby Lashley would respond. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. I ain't got time for that shit. I'm out. And then Bray Wyatt fucking appears. On the Tron. Just like I was like, man, he's got to pop up. There's Bray Wyatt, and it's the Muscle Man dance featuring Bobby Lashley, the video, the Muscle Man dance video, and it's featuring Bobby Lashley. Guys, yes! BC was breaking it down. I probably threw out a hip or some shit in the process, but BC was on cloud 9. You guys know this is a pro Bray Wyatt channel. I love my boy Bray Wyatt. Bray Wyatt is a creative genius, sometimes too creative for his own good, and people just get confused left and right about his shit because they don't understand. And sometimes BC doesn't even understand. I just know it's epic. But the Muscle Man dance is the shit, man. Pull up your pants. Now do the Muscle Man dance. Pull up your pants and do the Muscle Man dance. Bobby Lashley's like, bro, it's starring Bobby Lashley. He's up on the fight. She's fucking. Bobby's like, really, bro? You got me flexing in this shit? Oh, I know. A lot of the community's gonna be bitching and moaning. Look, I hate the Muscle Man dance. This fucking Bray is corny. But he'll be one of the highest rated segments. His merchandise is still going to be fucking number one, or at least damn near. The metrics on platforms like this or on social media buzz is still going to be fucking top notch. So obviously, the majority of us are loving this shit. And sometimes it's good to RELAX. Relax, pull up your pants, and do the Muscle Man dance. I fucking love this shit, bro. And at the end, he turned very serious into the serious Bray, and he said, "You're best to just run." And Lashley's like, fucking A. This fucking guy. Oh, man. I'm not saying I'm fully sold yet, guys. But I'm 37% more into this than anything that Omos and Brock Lesnar are currently giving to me, because those are the two matches that even BC said, and I'm a massive Bray Wyatt fan and a pretty decent Brock Lesnar fan. And I told you guys, those two matches just don't make sense to me for WrestleMania. Brock and Omos make zero sense. Bray Wyatt and Lashley, there's no reason for them to go at one another. There's no story. There's nothing. And so even though I'm a fan of them, especially Bray, this is an honest fucking channel at all times, and I'm never going to bullshit. And I said those two matches, they don't do it for me, and I don't even understand how this... I mean, are you just throwing baloney at the wall and hope it sticks on a fucking name? And when you get two in a row, that's the match? But coming out of Raw, I'm still not intrigued one bit by Brock Lesnar and Omos. With Lashley and Wyatt, I'm starting to see where this could get fun if Lashley remains this type of dude. I ain't got time for the fucking games. I'll bash you out, but that's... I ain't playing this shit. And for Bray, it's about the fucking games. I don't know. I think it could fucking work. But I gotta see. I'm about 37% more on board with it, but there's a lot more story they're gonna have to tell. Pull up your pants and just do the muscle man dance. Otis. Not David Ortiz. Or fucking Santana and Ortiz. Otis is what Maxine and the male models call them. Otis versus Johnny Gargano. Maxine and the male models are at ringside in front of the commentary booth. Maxine actually has her ass on the commentary booth. And man, Corey Graves was hysterical with Kevin Patrick. For some reason, Kevin Patrick is talking about like Superior, Wisconsin. I guess that's a town in Wisconsin. I don't even know why. Maybe one of the wrestlers is from there. I don't know. Maybe Otis. But he's talking about Wisconsin like a couple of times. So Corey Graves was just hilarious. And I quote from Corey Graves to Kevin Patrick, "You got Maxine 6 inches from you, and you're talking about Wisconsin?" And Patrick keeps going. Patrick is like, "They got good cheese." "They got good cheese, Corey." He's like, "I like Wisconsin, actually, Corey." Corey's like, "What is your fascination with Wisconsin? Will you shut up?" Guys, legit LOL here, bro. Corey Graves has moments of just masterclass mic work. He could be hilarious, bro. This was just fucking top notch. You got Maxine 6 inches from you. Her ass is basically in your face. And you're talking about Wisconsin and their cheese. Fucking loved it, man. As a Green Bay Packer fan, I appreciated that shit masterfully, man. Fucking Kevin Patrick, I tell you. How did this match end? Dexter Lumis takes out the models at ringside. I believe he actually dragged. Dexter Lumis shows up in a black hoodie in the crowd and takes Massey into the crowd. Who's got the gimmick here, guys? Sami Zayn's coming out in the black hoodie through the crowd. Kevin Owens is showing up in the black hoodie in the crowd. Dexter Lumis has already had that gimmick for months in the black hoodie in the crowd. What are we doing, man? That's a lot of black hoodies in the crowd. Gonna form a little clique? You're going to have to decide. Is it Dexter Lumis or is it Sammy and KO's gimmick? But Dexter Lumis shows up, takes out the models. And this allows Johnny Wrestling to hit his DDT, and he pins Otis. This was actually entertaining, while simultaneously it served no purpose. It was an entertaining segment. It's always good to see Maxine out there, of course. And Johnny Gargano and Dexter Lumis, I have so much respect for, and I just wish they had more. It's weird to see 3H's not really have anything for them, but he doesn't, and that's pretty clear. I don't even know what their WrestleMania is going to look like. Are you going to have Dexter Lumis and Johnny Gargano versus Maximum Male Models? Is that going to be the Mania match? It could be, guys. Could be a fucking kickoff show for all we know. Matchup. So this was entertaining, but it was simultaneously, it just served zero purpose whatsoever. And next week is a pretty big match, man. Finn Balor versus Johnny Gargano. Pretty huge. And then we went to the main event. Tag titles around the line. Current champions for the women, Io Shirai, Io Sky, and Dakota Kai versus Becky Lynch and Lita, who I personally call a dream team, because Becky Lynch and Lita is a fucking bona fide dream team. There was word for weeks now that Trish Stratus was in New York, finalizing a deal with WWE. That's been confirmed. She was actually in Canada, a couple of shows actually, and they just never utilized her. Creative said no, not yet. We're gonna hold off. So that was all confirmed reports. So we knew Trish was coming. We didn't know how they were going to do this. What is the exact tag team setup for Mania? Does 3H's even know? Is it going to be Damage Control versus Ronda and Shayna? Or are they going to go Becky and Lita versus Shayna and Ronda? And that will leave Trish against Bayley one-on-one. Are they going to go Damage Control, all three members versus Lita, Becky, and Trish? We didn't know how they were going to do that. But the first step in all of this is we have to get Trish, right? I mean, she has to eventually show up. I mean, are they really going to wait till Boston is what BC started to think? Or are they going to have her show up in Detroit? She showed up in Detroit. First of all, good match with these four. I mean, Lita has wrestled how many times in the last year? 0? Outside of the Elimination Chamber from last year? 0. And before that, how many times in like 5 years? 0, maybe 1, tops. I think it was 0. So a couple of times in 5 years, and she's doing that type of shit. Moonsaults and fucking trying to keep up with fucking Io Shirai, one of the best female wrestlers in the world today. Somebody the talent of Io Shirai, and a damn good wrestler like Dakota, tagging up with Becky Lynch. And Lita's got to fucking keep up with these gals, and she nailed it, bro. There was a few spots, I understand. There was that twist. Was it a twist of fate at the end of this match? And I think it was Io kind of landed awkward. There was that little bit of a hiccup botch. But damn, good match. Everybody flowing. Damn good here, man. They gave him 15 straight up. Nearly 15 minutes on it. And Lita's like, BC's like, damn. Are they just going to have Lita just on the outside for most of them? No, Lita was involved in this shit a lot. She was a massive part of this. Everybody carried their own weight. In the end, Trish Stratus's music hits. Trish Stratus comes barreling down the aisle like the Ultimate Warrior from back in the day. Trish Stratus returns to WWE and takes out Bayley on the outside. Make sure that Dakota, just make sure that the finish of this only goes one way. She helps out Becky Lynch and Lita tenfold and allows Lita to climb up to the top and deliver the moonsault to Io Sky. And it was delivered so beautifully. I think Dakota Kai was in like the disarmer on the apron while this was happening. So I think Trish Stratus took out Bayley. There was a lot going on at the finish. Trish Stratus took out Bayley. Dakota Kai is in a disarmer on the apron from Becky Lynch. And this allows Lita to do a moon. And I'm like, oh man, bro, it's been so long. Can she hit this like she used to? This is what I was fucking yelling to the big screen. And she didn't just hit it beautifully. She hit it so perfectly that it was right into a pinning situation, right into the pin, guys. It was so goosebumps, bro. Absolute fucking goosebumps just to think about it. It was a moonsault right into the pinfall, and she didn't even have to move it at all to do the pin. 1, 2, 3, and new women's tag team champions, Lita, Becky Lynch. Now you say, well, BC, what about Damage Control? You said it yourself a billion times. They haven't been booked properly from the beginning. And here they are just losing titles. One of your favorites, BC, is Io, and she just lost, literally took the pin, BC. I get it. Guys, I absolutely get it. And I say the same thing today that I said yesterday, that I said a month ago, that I said fucking just about a couple weeks after SummerSlam when they formed, that they need proper booking, and they need it yesterday. But sometimes often, sometimes here and there. But there are many times in professional wrestling where something is just seismically bigger, more important than everything else. Lita has decided to come back to WWE on some type of multi-match agreement. It's fucking Lita tagging up with Becky Lynch to form a dream team. Somehow Trish Stratus agrees to come back to be a part of this. There's just not a way underneath the blue sky and on top of the green grass that we walk on. There's no way this could have went any other way. You can always put the time, effort, and energy into people like Io and Dakota because they're so damn good it doesn't take a lot. You just have to put in the time, effort, and creativity. Put in the resources. Give them the time of day. Let the chefs cook. And I hope they do that going forward. But this night was Becky Lynch and Lita and Trish Stratus in a moment that will stand the test of time. This was a moment in time that BC, and I know a lot of you guys, will not forget. This will be in all of their highlight reels. I always say that when they're all inducted in the Hall of Fame. Some already inducted, but when Becky Lynch is years and years, decades down the road, this will be in their highlight reel. That moment of Lita hoisting up tag team championship, a WWE championship in 2023, Lita. And Becky Lynch hoisting that title, and Trish Stratus in the middle of it. I mean, could you imagine Becky Lynch, a young Rebecca Quinn trying to break into the business? And just, I mean, could she ever really fathom that she would one day even be in the same league talked about with Lita and Trish, let alone have that fucking iconic moment? Goosebumps. Lita in 2023 reigning supreme. Trish Stratus looking like she's still in her prime. I said that about Beth Phoenix at Elimination Chamber recently. I mean, these ladies can keep up, bro. These ladies look phenomenal in their 40s. Like they're in their 20s. So fucking epic. And that moment, it just had that. There was a moment. You know, I asked you guys in the live stream yesterday, do you guys think the titles are going to change? I put up a poll. You guys could check it out in the live stream yesterday. I think it was 65-35 said yes. 35 said no, we don't see it. Most likely going to go heel, Damage Control versus Shayna and Ronda. 65%, and I was part of that 65%. I was like, I think it does happen. It could go either way, and I'll be cool with it. There was a moment last night where I literally just, it was a flip switch. And I was like, nope, this has to happen. I mean, there's magic in the air. And I know some people are like, oh man, that crowd though, man, that pop should have been better for Trish. You know, man, it should have been done in Canada. Should have been in New York, possibly 2 weeks ago. In Canada last week. Should have been in Boston next week. I get it. The pop after they won the title, I get it. Detroit wasn't that hot for the night. But it's not even about the crowd, man. That moment is just... It had to happen. It's a dream team, and now you just added Trish. And there's so many ways you can go about this. You could do straight up Lita and Becky versus Ronda and Shayna, and it's going to be a fucking damn good tag match at Mania. I mean, in a situation, a division that was non-existent just 24 hours ago, and I'm actually talking about a women's tag team match that would captivate BC. And it could. You could do a triple threat, and I'd probably be okay with that. Damage Control, Io, and Dakota versus Shayna and Ronda versus Lita and Becky, and I'd probably be okay with that. And then you could still do Trish Stratus versus Bayley one-on-one. I don't know if they would just do the champions with Trish taking on Damage Control as a whole, and maybe they do some type of gimmick where whoever wins the 3-on-3, that team would become tag champions, even though it's a 6-woman tag. We've seen that in the past, actually. Not necessarily the Freebird rule, but, you know, titles would go over just based on victory, even though it's 3-on-3, not 2-on-2. We could see a gimmick like that, and I don't know why you're fucking starting to really push Shayna and Ronda, and what the fuck would they do at Mania? So there's ways you can go about this, no doubt, and it's going to be interesting to see what their decision is. What does 3 H's conclude? But wow, that visual of Trish, Lita, and Lynch, a moment in time is all I could think of last night. Like, this is a moment that I'll never fucking forget. It'll be on their highlight reel. And it'll stand the test of time. You know, that was a moment. The fireworks, the pyro is going off. Trish was just so happy. Trish was just staring at the pyro. Usually the wrestlers don't do that. That's their cue to look at the hard cam. You see Lita and Becky, the second they see the pyro, they go right to the hard cam to show up, to throw up the titles, because they know how they're trained. Trish was just taken in the moment. She's looking at the pyro. I mean, goosebumps. It's why you become a pro wrestling fan. You know. Fuck. And that's coming from a huge, massive Io Sky fan. She'll be fine. It's not her or Dakota you even have to worry. It's the booking. Losing the tag titles in a non-existent division doesn't mean shit. No harm, no foul. The fucking division needs to be built properly. Lita and Becky are the way to do that. If you do this correctly and you want to keep Io and Dakota together and really build up Damage Control, they can get it back and they will be more meaningful as a tag team, much more relevant champions, because they'll be in an existent division. Hope that makes sense. What they were doing week to week, show by show, was not helping Damage Control at all. This is just ripping the fucking Band-Aid off, guys. Instead of slowly taking it off every fucking week, every show, because you might be ripping off some fucking hairs or some fucking skins coming off. No, rip the shit off, get it done with. And now build Damage Control properly. You don't need titles to do that. Titles don't build the wrestlers make the titles. So good. The wrestling world is buzzing about it already, and this is exactly why it's special. You know, a lot of people just don't like women's wrestling anyway. They're against the tag division. They don't think it's ever going to work. They think it should be done anyway. So they're not going to give this credit. They're not going to say it was good. They're going to come up with a fucking 1,000 negatives, and to each their own. But I know the buzz. I know what this does. The seismic shift. What the division needed. The pulse. The Becky Lynch, man, having something meaningful going into Mania. She had nothing. Nobody wanted to see Ronda versus Becky in 2023 one-on-one. It's not needed. And now to have this. Anyway, I could go another hour about it. As you can tell, I am, for BC, just being a traditionalist and having that nostalgia and knowing how meaningful those special moments are, because the past 10 years, they're very far and few in between. Back in the day, we got them almost every week. Now it's every here and there, every blue moon, you get a really special moment that you're going to look back on and go, yep, I remember that. That was so fucking epic. So thank you to Trish, Lita, and Becky Lynch. What a fucking... Thank you to Dakota and Io for being a part of that magic. Bayley. Special. So no matter how you felt about it, I hope you guys understand that a lot of good does come from this. And that was one of those Monday Night Raw moments that the show needed, the division needed. Most of us just needed, man. A kick-ass way to end that shit. And we go into Boston, and Boston is just jacked. As I said a few minutes ago. Boston is just jacked next week. This is going to be the powerhouse show that catapults us on the road to WrestleMania. Guys, that's what I got for you. We're heading toward an hour and a half of content on this review. Go off into the world, smash the shit out of it. Crush! Rusev crush! Amp unit crush. You should already be woken up, gotten amplified. Put them up, work out those fucking biceps, and try punch out the fucking delts and start smashing humanoids. Till next time, top guy, I'm out. BC saying check you. Think, be, live, amplified always. And don't forget, check out all the content on the channel. A lot went up this past week. Left and right. A lot of you guys may not even have known. Because notifications are all over the place. But make sure you check out all the content. And BC will be back later this week with a lot more. Check you. Salute.